Would you chase 200 tiny 100K deals or one $20 million contract? I walk away from a GS13 salary because small goals were costing me 7 figures. 10 times goals force 10 times action. Stick around and I will show you the 2 questions that reveal if you are playing too small. Comment 10x if you are tired and you are done playing the little league. You cannot rise above your goals. The goals you set today set the tone. So you want the goals to be as great as you can dream of because you have the control, you have the keys to the future that you want to be in. And the decisions to make today determine the quality of your life. That's something that is very difficult to materialize because it takes faith. Why would you choose a $30,000 life if you can just imagine in your mind a $1 million life and go after it? Because either ways, whether you set your goals to be 1 million or to be 30,000, it's going to determine the actions you take. See, the magic is in the goals you set because people tend to hope, which is fine, but hope alone doesn't materialize anything because it's vague. So in the constructions of your goals, you want to dream as big as you can because it will stretch you out. So today, I continue reading the 10x is better than 2x. And the author was talking about having big goals the same way as in the margin of thinking big. It is described that why would you choose a low performing goal when you can shoot for the moon? And even if you miss the moon, you will still land on the stars. So basically, always think big. The difference between dreaming big and dreaming small is very infinitesimal because in the end, the results are way bigger, but it takes the same effort and energy. For example, if you set a goal today to gain a position as a senior engineer, you will be better off than setting the goal to be an entry level. So if you set your goal to become a senior, it might take the time it's going to take, but the competition is so small that the results are better. By the time that you get in the job, you can learn the skills necessary to perform on that job. So by setting that goal, your expectation raise, and every decision that you make going forward raise too. And it's a very interesting point that the author made because when I look at myself, every time in my life that I went to that next level is because I had big goals. The goal to travel from Cameroon to the US, not knowing the language, not knowing how I was going to be successful in the new land, made me stretch. And I learned the language so fast just because I raised my standard. And I got to that goal even faster than I ever thought imaginable. That was like a miracle. And again, even after graduating, setting the goal to get a job in my field stretched me to learn interviewing skills, to learn elevator pitch, to learn to write a competing resume, which all together land me at a better position. And as I go to my next 10x in life, I had to sacrifice a comfortable salary to go to my goal to win a government contract. And at this point, I think I would even sacrifice the Amazon business because one contract is like 10x. And the Amazon business is too crowded. It's a business that I enjoy, but it's very crowded. It's very hard to find a niche that's not crowded and to do good over there. and to do better than 2x, because my understanding of 10x is better than 2x is if you want to make $20 million and you set the goals to reach the $20 million, it's easier to win one contract that was worth 20 million than to have multiple contract worth 100,000. And if I multiply correctly, that's like 200 contract for $100,000 to get to 20 million. So the work is actually easier to focus on one contract and do it well for 20 million. I hope I make myself understandable here, because those concepts are not easy to practice. So as I make it clear for you, it's also getting clearer for me, because as you know, we're evolving here together. And like I said, if you watch a video thus far, that means this is speaking to you as well. And let me know what you think in the comments. If you're going through times where you had a 10x opportunity and you were victorious and transform your life, you can share that in the comments too. Because the more example, the more people will understand practically. I can only do with my personal experience and the books I read and the people I've met along the way. This is not magical or specially reserved for special people. I always think dreaming is free. It's our God-given gift to be able to dream. It goes, I believe it's in the order of be, do, have. That's why God put us to earth. So we can be, we can do, then we can have. And nothing can take that away from us. So the author really took examples like Mr. Beast, James Clear. If you've read Atomic Habit, one of my books on the shelves, where Mr. Beast on the Joe Rogan podcast was asked by Joe Rogan, how are you so successful? And then Joe Rogan asked him, are people asking you how? Do you meet people who ask you for advice? And Mr. Beast pulled out his Twitter and showed one person that he helped. That person was having 4 million views a month and only making about $24,000. I don't remember exactly the amount. And when he started working with Mr. Beast took him to like $400,000 a month. So it 10x the guy's result. I think the guy was making 40,000, something like that. And the views increased too. And when Mr. Beast was asked, how does he do it? He said, he basically asked the guy to do less, because Mr. Beast got this advice that it's easier to reach 20 million people with one video than to reach 20 million people with 50 bad video. So one great video a year can give you more views than 50 average videos a year. Think about that for a second. Let it sink. Mr. Beast started with humble beginning. Myself, like most of us, he barely got more than 3 likes when he was in North Carolina, young boy, trying to be good at YouTube. And nowadays, one of his videos get millions and millions of views. He got millions of subscribers. And he openly said, at that point when he was starting, he was only trying to get better. And he went even further and said, going 10% to 20% better on your current output can exponentially increase your results. And this is very, very interesting, because sometimes we forget that doing quality beats quantity sometimes. And in my own opinion, I think doing quantity in the beginning is very important, because even Mr. Big says so, that when you start YouTube or podcasting or whatever you want to call it, when you do your first 100 videos, they're going to be bad. So get it out of the way because you need that quantity. But there's a caveat. You don't just want to do the videos, right? You want to improve the thumbnails. Next video, improve the title. Next video, improve the hook. Next video, improve the story. Next video, improves. Like always trying to improve something in the process. And the author of 10x is better than 2x use also the example of Malcolm Gladwell, who said to become a master at anything, you need 10,000 hours. However, there's another great thinker of our time, Navad, I don't know his exact name, Navid, who said Malcolm Gladwell got it wrong. It's not just 10,000 hours. It's 10,000 hours of, or 10,000 repetitions. And those repetitions got to be intentional, right? Like proper practice, not just, oh, I spent 10,000 hours learning how to do calculus. Now I'm a master. No, you got to like do calculus the right way for 10,000 hours, 10,000 repetitions to become master. Think about that. So my friend, success is not just luck. Success is not wishy-washy. Success is also not just putting quantity out there. Though, when you get to the quality, you want to put the quantity of quality, i.e., you want to put 10,000 hours, 10,000 iteration of the quality. That's what I call quantity of quality. So 10,000 iteration is the quantity, but the iteration need to be purposeful, intentional, proper practice to become a master of something. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. That's what I've learned. That's what I'm going to use to take my business to new heights. I've read 2 chapters of 10x is better than 2x so far. And in my honest opinion, it's a good book. It comes as a reminder for me of the 80-20 principle. And I just love how he detailed it and shows the 80 and the 20 every time. So basically, when you have a job, for example, that represents your 20%, that produces the 80% of your income. But going to something like Amazon or your small business or your side hustle that can explode, you have to make a decision at some point to pivot so that the 80-20 principle still stays alive, because you don't want your job to be 20% that gives you 80% forever. So at one point, your business got to be the 20% that gives you the 80%. That's what quitting is, because he used the example of a James Clear, right, who started writing Atomic Habit around 2015 or something like that. At some point, when he finished writing the book, he didn't do what most authors do. Most authors, they just send it to the book publishing, and then they wait. But James Clear, the author of the Atomic Habits, he switched using the 80-20 principle. In the beginning, his 20 was writing the book. But when he switched, his 20 became marketing. And his book was published 12 weeks before the end of the year. And it became the bestseller that year. Millions of copies sold. That's a great feat. And most books never sell 100,000 copies their whole life, like the lifetime of the book. But that book, in less than 12 weeks, sold 1 million copies. Bestsellers in the New York bestselling rank. Just because the author understands the 80-20 principle and when to pivot. So pivoting is not just from this job to this other job. It's also from this activity to this other activity, because it can be the same goal, but at some point he delegates the 80-20, giving the 80, the now 80, to an executive assistant. And that 80 becomes a 20 for that executive assistant. So he can focus on the marketing. And he did an excellent job. And his book was a massive success. So those principles are very, very important to master, because I think most failures in life comes from people not understanding when to load up the truck. And when I look at my life and the missed opportunities, there are those opportunities that I didn't take fully. And when I look at Bitcoin, some stocks, I have some stocks that are doing very well, but I just bought one share. I bought Apple one share when I didn't understand how to invest. So sometimes in life, if I had just really focused on the investments that I purchased and spent 80-20 split on those investments, I could have put more. But because I was interested in this investment, I was interested in this other investment, I was interested in that real estate, I was interested in that, my energy was spread. And I didn't win big where I should have won big, and I lost where was about the worst opportunity. Just to say that by focusing on the 80-20 principle, we get better results. And it's always advantageous to dream big, because dreaming small is only going to produce small results, even when you win. When the opportunity comes, load up the truck. Let me know in the comment down below what you think, and if you want to learn more about those topics or you want to talk about something else, also let us know in the comments.